All right, we're halfway through 2022. So, like every year, let's take a look back and round up some of the best games that have released so far. Now, keep in mind, these are the GameRanks team's choices. You're definitely gonna have different picks, so we'd love to hear yours in the comments. Now, we've got 10, actually more than 10 games to talk about, so let's get going. Starting off at number 10, Dying Light 2. Now this is the follow-up to one of our favorite games here at GameRanks, and we think it mostly lived up to it. The open world setting was really cool, the parkour, free running, trap setting stuff was even better this time around, and the combat gave you a lot of options on how to take down enemies. It just felt like an expanded version of the first game. Now it's not quite as challenging as the first game, and there's a lot more story stuff, and I think it's kind of up for debate how much of that decision making really pays off. But what you have here is just a straight up fun video game open world exploration adventure with zombies and bad guys that's incredibly satisfying to play. The simple stealth is satisfying, all the hits feel good, the parkour free running stuff gives you a sense of speed and adrenaline, and there is a lot to keep you busy, a lot of side quests, a lot of side activities, and they don't all feel like pointless filler. And of course it's all set in a really cool, well-designed world with communities actually in very different ways handling the whole zombie apocalypse thing. It was kind of fun to really take all that in. Now at this point we're through it. It was a meal, we chewed it, we swallowed it. That kind of sounds like a gross metaphor, but now essentially we're waiting for dessert because the original Dying Light had some really awesome post-launch support. So we're looking forward to seeing what Techland can really cook up for Dying Light 2 and this new world they set up. Now, next over at number 9, we have Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, there is definitely another open world 3D Pokemon hot on the heels of this one, but Pokemon Legends Arceus was kind of the first to really give what a lot of people were hoping for, just completely wandering around environments, encountering Pokemon in the wild, sneaking up behind them, tossing a Pokeball, battling in real time, all that stuff. And I think it mostly paid off. While the story and some of the setting wasn't as compelling as I was hoping, considering it's set in like a before time, the core gameplay stuff is pretty good, and I'm really excited to see where the Pokemon company is going to take that further. We're really excited to see where this story goes next because this new gameplay foundation they built here is pretty cool and has a lot of potential. Now, next over at number 8, we gotta talk about the Quarry. This one recently released, and it's from Supermassive Games, the people behind the Dark Pictures anthology games, as well as one of our all-time favorites, Until Dawn. And the Quarry very much is straight up another game like Until Dawn, but focusing a little bit more on camp goofiness, like from 80s horror movies, embracing just some of the teen soap opera drama stuff, but with some light humor and weird quirkiness, but still plenty of scares. It's still gory and scary, but it's really based on moment-to-moment decisions. Where in other games like this, these more interactive stories, they rely a lot on quick time events and just quick button presses. This is actually more about the moment-to-moment decisions you make in the dialogue and how that affects the characters and really how the story plays out. There's a lot of different outcomes, there's a lot of different endings, and it's just really satisfying to play through, whether alone in the dark by yourself because the graphics are pretty good most of the time, or if you're just having some good times playing with some friends. It very much feels like a celebration of slasher, kind of goofier style horror movies, and we love it for that. Supermassive Games really, for the most part, just gets this stuff, and we love playing through their games, and we think the Quarry is up there as one of their best. Next, over at number 7, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. If you like this type of game, let me tell you, this one is definitely going to scratch that itch. It's from Dotemu. They've done it again with Ninja Turtles in general. They've just kind of straight up made a new, fun, accessible, but still challenging classic-style Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles brawler. It is so awesome. From the music to the static cutscenes, the soundtrack, the animations of the characters, the little voice lines, all of it is filled with some fun old school gameplay charm. And while some people can't go back to this retro style of play, the people that do, like us here, there was a lot to love here. It's a short playthrough, it's nothing crazy, but there's a story mode and an arcade mode and multiple difficulties, and it is so much better with friends. It supports up to 6-player co-op, featuring the Turtles, Splinter, April, and Casey Jones, and if you love this stuff, definitely give it a try. Next, over at number 6, we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land. If you were looking for something good on Nintendo Switch this year, this 3D Kirby adventure in some really interesting locations is really satisfying. It's lighthearted, it's fun, there's good stuff to collect, and Kirby can transform into a lot of cool things. Now, I'll be honest, we didn't get time to do it before you buy video for this game and initially cover it, but when we did check it out, we found a really charming and fun, kind of turn off your brain Kirby game. We think those are important to have. You know, maybe it's not the best Kirby game, but it'll still probably put a smile on your face if you're into this stuff. Now, next over at number 5, we have V Rising, another game that we haven't had a chance to cover yet here on Game Ranks, but after diving in and us dabbling here and there, we gotta say, man, this thing has gained popularity on Steam, specifically a lot thanks to word of mouth, and it's pretty worth the hype. You wake up as a vampire and you have to build your empire. It's like a top-down, large, explorable world with survival elements, RPG elements, but also vampire elements. You gotta worry about sunlight. You gotta satisfy your thirst for blood, and it's just nice to see vampire games really having a comeback. We're hoping 2022 is really the year of the vampire. From Vampire Survivors really going viral to V Rising really kicking off. This is just a PC gamer's game with some really cool combat, satisfying enemy types, beautiful visuals, and good multiplayer. It's something you should definitely check out if you're playing on PC. We highly, highly recommend it. Next, over at number 4, we have LEGO Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. You probably wouldn't expect us to dive this deep into this one, but it's just awesome. It's a really well-made, perfect Star Wars package. If you were of that generation that kind of grew up with the LEGO Star Wars games or had younger siblings that really grew up with them, they've really become a thing. They're satisfying, well-made games, there's great memes, and the Skywalker Saga essentially is a celebration of all those games. It basically gives you full adventures to play through for each movie, all the main trilogies, and it gives you a ton of explorable, kind of open style worlds, vehicles, a bunch of characters to play through, and tons of stuff to unlock. It's really a grind if you want to see everything, but even if you just want to passively play through to see all of your favorite Star Wars movies recreated in LEGO once again, there is a lot of charm here. There's some great inside jokes and references, and it plays better than your average LEGO game. They've really retooled the combat, the third-person shooting, there's some cover systems, and also it looks pretty damn gorgeous. It's really cool to see them recreate some classic Star Wars planets in the LEGO style, but with great visuals. You get a lot of bang for your buck with the Skywalker Saga, especially if you have kids or a younger sibling around. Or if you're like us, you're just a complete adult and you play these games alone in your home. Either way, check it out. Next up at number 3, we have Horizon Forbidden West, the follow-up to Horizon Zero Dawn. And with this one, to be straight up, it's just a bigger, badder, crazier Horizon Zero Dawn. I hate to be reductive about it, but there is a lot. Way more interesting cultures, NPCs, side quests, enemy types, world variety. This game is just chock full of, you know, open world stuff. But a lot of it is actually meaningful and interesting and well made. For me in particular, I just liked some of the environmental puzzles you'd stumble upon in the open world. Aloy's adventure goes full on crazy sci-fi and kind of buck wild. I still don't quite know how I feel about it, but the moment to moment gameplay from beginning to end was really satisfying. I don't know if it's one of Sony's best exclusive franchises, but when it's good and it's firing on all cylinders, this game's pretty awesome. Also, it's crazy gorgeous. I mean, look at it. It is a sight to behold, from the environment, the level of detail, the way the characters look and emote. It is like a visual feast, but thankfully, it's got the gameplay chops to back it up. Now down to number 2, we have Sifu. This is one of my personal favorite games of the year. It's just a simple brawler that's a little bit more than meets the eye. It is incredibly challenging and requires a lot from you, the player. You need to memorize the enemies and really practice getting through a level unscathed, because every time you die, you get older and there's certain ramifications that come with that. But if you keep dying and keep getting older, eventually you're gonna be too old to fight, and that's when you get a game over. So the hook is really to get through a level and beat a boss as young as possible, and it's an incredibly satisfying gameplay loop, especially when you just chop it up with how the actual brawling, the fighting works. The blocking, the dodging, the comboing, all of it is quick and brutal, hallway, John Wick, old boy style, and it is so cool to pull off. When you're doing well in this game, you truly feel like a badass. That's what I really wanted to see, like leading up to this game, watching the trailers and stuff, and I think they nailed it. From the bosses to the visual style of the levels to the animations to just like getting a quick throw or a dodge or a perfect strike in there, all of it is just chef's kiss. Sifu, clearly we highly recommend. Now down to number 1, Say it with me now. Yep. Elden Ring. I mean, this is like, of course, what did you expect? If you watch Game Ranks, you know we really love this game. We've made tons of videos on it. And Elden Ring straight up is pretty much at this point the biggest From Software game. Like, of course, because of sales numbers and hype and all that stuff, but also I've seen more people jump into Elden Ring than any other From Software game. This seems to be, for a lot of people, the gateway drug to From Software gameplay and their other games. It's really special, of course, for the From Software touch, you know, the challenging combat, the crazy over-the-top boss designs, but just really how filled this open world is with actual meaningful stuff to just stumble upon and discover. This game just consistently will blow you away for the entire length of time you're playing it. Just when you think you've seen it all, you find a whole new massive area, or a whole optional dungeon, or a side boss. The game, even when it's really challenging and when you hit a wall, still manages to be consistently satisfying, consistently rewarding, in a way we haven't seen with many other open world games. There's gonna be plenty of people that comment and say, it's overrated, it's overhyped, and that's fine, agree to disagree. We really like Elden Ring. And we're probably gonna be talking about it for years to come. Now, those are some games that we think were great in 2022 so far, but we also have some bonus games we gotta mention. Buckle up. First, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. This actually just dropped at the time of making this video, but so far, it seems pretty awesome. It seems like a big step up from the previous game. Also, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is actually a surprisingly good spin on the Borderlands formula. It makes things pretty fresh. Also, don't write off Evil Dead the game. It's pretty fun, especially if you got a good group of friends. Also, not to mention, Cuphead and the Delicious Last Course DLC. It's quite a bit of content to jump into. We've been fiending for more Cuphead. Also, it's worth highlighting that God of War got a PC version this year, and that is an absolutely massive deal. From people playing it on PC, which is also just great, to the mods that people have made are just nuts. And also, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. This is technically a re-release of an older PC game, now on modern consoles, but with a ton of new content that is, let's just say, really worth experiencing. I don't want to spoil anything. But those are some great games that we have loved so far in 2022. Like I said, you probably have plenty of other personal picks, so we want to hear them. If you got your own top 5 or something like that, be sure to drop it in the comments. It'll be good for us, but also other people looking in the comments, maybe they'll find a new game as well. If you enjoyed this though, and you like talking games with us, man, clicking the like button's all you gotta do. We would very much appreciate that. It helps us out. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.